Is it the three of us?
It's very fluid. It's kind of cute. Every sessions we open, right?
Okay.
Today's one is quite formalized. Half an hour is like for program partners to ask questions or reflect, or prepare for today's session. And then after that, the youth stewards come on board for about an hour and a half. Usually by that time we get very into it, then we say, okay, let's add another half an hour, because we only once a month now. And then we have a debrief or another reflection. So that's how we work.
So Ping Yin, is it possible, because since I have to leave at 3, I really want to catch also what happens after 3 o'clock, because I saw your session format.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I have to go into some phone calls. So is there any way I can capture the recording for the period after 3 o'clock?
Later you can watch. So you saw it in YouTube as session 1, right? So we created playlists for session 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's very long. So what
2 hours.
What I say to everyone is, in the world of disinformation, even more so, we need to be very authentic and I suppose you can see as a capture of a lecture content or a reflection or a dialogue, because it's not really a lecture, it's a lot of dialogue. But
Okay.
there are content. What do you call it? It's not kind of everywhere and random. There is a structure to the thinking and the knowledge development kind of thing. So everyone has kindly given us permission to essentially share the recording. I think that's how we're going to be learning and dialoguing in this world, and it's really
That's
difficult. It's really difficult if we want to structure in the old ways and nobody can catch up anymore, and everyone has their own schedule. So that's how we boldly in January said, let's just do this and not wait anymore. And I think it's worked out well. So from a group of strangers, we're getting more and more people participating in the youth stewardship sessions. And then we also have kind of like breakout sessions or project stream sessions that we have pulled out as well. So one of which is to kind of explore the funding for how we all get and to run our summer school in Cambridge, We did 5 sections of that. So we will pull it out and call it like five Thursdays to Cambridge kind of thing. We're making it kind of like snazzy.
Right, 5 Thursdays is...
So we will organize then the sessions.
Mm-hmm.
5 Thursdays or how, and whoever said, okay, I'll join this team, would then jump in and work on it.
So then how come it's an 18-month program then?
This 18-month program is for the youth stewards, so one cohort, right? So 4 weeks kind of orientation. And this is a global youth stewardship program. So we're seeing youth stewards coming from different countries. So you take some time to kind of settle in, because some of them don't even have their technology set up. And we have to kind of observe that, encourage how they can problem solve around it. And then we settle into the 7 milestones for the journey from impossibilities to possibilities. So there's a formation guide. So what we then set up is what we call a pedagogical provocation library in a playlist. So if they go to the YouTube, they will see, okay, so it's very self-driving, right? We put the information there, we facilitate the session, the content is already set there, it's like almost like having a reading list that you have to kind of work. But these could be slides, these could be videos.
And so it's very independent learning, right?
And then once the session starts, you can see that it's being recorded, right? So those people who miss, they can still join and follow in the content. But what we've told everybody is, if you don't bring yourself to the session, because the whole idea is your self growth, it's internalization of what is being discussed and how you apply it to your life. And it's a stewardship program, so the expectation is you learn to define your own core values, your own identity, and you have to drive it, right? Firstly, as a person steward, and then only you can impact your community. So we're not into like all these big sprenchy motherhood statements and then no work done, and then fancy videos and that kind of thing. We're not into that. So that's why it says everything is very raw. But of course, later on, if somebody says, I really want to pull out some stuff from the video contents, right? Then they can take it, and then they can reapply it or repurpose it, you know. So that's why we are also saying that we are kind of like the content. You know what
Our
I mean?
stories, our lives. Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
and what is the context of society, right? In light of that, and where is the thinking? Where is then the sustainability work that we want to define? How do we work as a team? You know. So oh, Bernadette is joining us from Hong
Yes, I see.
Kong. Yeah. Then maybe later you can share. Bernie, hello.
Hi.
We haven't seen each other
Bernadette.
For a long time, yeah.
yes.
Yes.
This
You've
is
been so busy.
I have my hair is gone crazy. This is Melissa Bernadette. She is from Beautiful People.
Hi, Bernadette.
Hello.
Yeah.
Nice
So
to meet you.
last time we met Phyllis from Beautiful People. So today is Melissa. And Bernie, the session is already being recorded because Melissa can only join us until 3 o'clock. So she's trying to get as much information from us. So maybe Melissa, you ask Bernie the questions you're asking me. She's much better at Bernie is much better at explaining the 7 milestones and the formation.
That would be great. I actually had that's you're exactly right. I actually had a question about what those 7 milestones are, as well as when I was looking on your website, I'm interested in the archetypal enterprises that I see there. So that ranges from the knowledge development, healthcare, well-being, sustainable farming, and building that ESG economy. Like I would like to understand how that's incorporated into the stewardship program, if that's possible.
Sure. So Bernie, you take the formation question first.
Yeah, we started with 7, I would say, formation pieces.
Bernie, would you like me to pull out the slides?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do
The
that. It's on
7.
the internet anyway. You can proceed first while I go look for the slides.
Yeah, we started where I co-created this because I am a life coach. I am also involved in formation of youth. So when Ping An invited me, I said, okay, I'll just put to paper what I've been doing for many, many years. So it is 7, I would say 7 formation pieces. First, I called it landscape pieces or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
So
here
it
it is,
starts,
Bernie.
yeah.
Can you see it?
I think it's very crisp. It doesn't say in too many words. But we started with, I think the first session was free flow. There is no agenda. We ask the students or the participators to just speak from the heart. So they started with identity, who they are. And then we went into, from identity, we had a session on dignity. We had a session on how do you recreate yourself. Now we are in this session of live for others or solidarity.
We done that last week, Bernie. We are now today at creativity.
Yeah, creativity. So out of these sessions, we were inspired by the youth because they were coming out of things that they have been able to articulate from the heart. For example, what they thought of recreating themselves. Somebody said the best way to recreate yourself is live for others, because it's only by living for others that you can be the best of yourself. And in one session also, it was very inspirational. It was on the tree. I can't, yeah.
This was the one. This was the live for others session.
Live for
And
others
we came up
session.
with the tree as a metaphor.
Yeah, so it was a metaphor, but it was a very inspirational metaphor because each one described what they thought of a tree. One was saying that Natasha was one of the ones that inspired us most because she said tree is for her branches. And branches means opening up, because when you open up to others, there will be no conflict in meetings, and you can, no arguments, no nothing, because you think of what the other's opinion is and you respect it. And I think Alan was saying it was opportunity because he learned so much. Another one was saying the fruits, because the tree will have to bear fruits. So many inspirational topics that were coming from themselves without any mentoring, without any prompting, without any coaching. So for us, this is quite an achievement because these people speak from their point of innocence, from the, being honest, fond of saying, from their purity. You know, there is no complications. So this one, of course, I said the moment you respect others, the moment you think of integrity, the moment you think of identity, eventually you will have an integral formation. It's an integrated formation from the mind, from the heart, from the will, from the mind. So it's really something that we don't even need to define, because people talk of things, but very theoretical. When persons say this, it means that they're integral, they're all integrated. So I don't know if I'm coming across, but one of the benefits of the recording is if you want to have a glimpse of these sessions, you can just Google to our website. All the recordings are there. So each session is there. Then you can give yourself a feel of how the sessions were coming along and how these youth are speaking from their own life experience, because what we want is for them to envision a post COVID future, how they want to formulate themselves given this very unique phenomenon. For example, I said in one of the coaching sessions that we had with the International Courts Federation, they always talk about this word VUCA, which is volatile, uncharted, chaotic, and ambiguous word. And that's why we come in as coaches, how to reverse. And then they reframed it. Somebody from the Philippines reframed it immediately. He said, for me, he said, V stands for value, A starts for ambition, C starts means courage, and A, something that was very, very positive, and he was able to reframe it without thinking much about it. He said, yeah, for me, values, understanding, courage, and ambition. So what many coaches around the world are trying to figure out, how to have a mental balance, work-life balance, whatever you want to call it, wellness. You all have this, but in these sessions, these youth are able to articulate what the professionals are trying to articulate in so many, many series of sessions.
Yep. So Melissa, then we have the 5 is creativity, 6 entrepreneurial mindset, 7 journey of possibilities. So as Bunny is explaining, it's all being rooted in your integrated formation of yourself. So when we are able to impart this on that youth towards young life, you know, and they are formatting themselves in very difficult times, which is in a way which is challenging if no one is with them, I think, and that's why we started this youth stewardship program. But now that they're with them, they are supported, and then if they're able to do a during pandemic, everyone's talking about post-pandemic. I think it's during pandemic that we're going to really, really grow. And if we kind of become, right, the highest of ourselves during a pandemic, I think that's really beautiful. So that keeps me going anyway. But I think what Bernie is saying is that we at least have very concrete 7 milestones, right? 7 stones, 7 concrete stuff, right? They can stand on, you know. And then if there's a group that went through it together in the community, then they can stand together as a community because they come from the same circumstances, the same challenges. And we are also very fast realizing that, especially during COVID, it has revealed a reality that it's no longer a subsidy world in that sense, right? It's how much more subsidy and how much more can you wait out and sit out, right? The storm has to be almost, we have to ride in it and somehow create a new level of shelter or resilience economically, physically, emotionally, and we have to learn it during the storm, you know. So there is because we're together and then we get to meet every month. I think that gives a place of shelter, a place of hope, a place of strength where we can come together so we can pull out different projects. So that's the reason behind really anchoring it in this formation milestones, you know, and coming back to dignity. So it's not so much about your accomplishment for this program. Yeah, it's a deep preparation for life. So it's more like internalizing a guiding post that you can hold on to, and all of us will go through different kind of challenges in different seasons of our life, even without the pandemic. But now we are in the pandemic. Yeah. So and given the circumstances of certain groups of the youth stewards coming from certain communities, we don't make reference to any of those things because we are not counselors. We're not here like, we don't keep refraining the challenges, you know. So sometimes when you get labeled or like what Bernie said, framed, right? Framed or reframed, right? It's unhealthy. That's what we find. So for us, we just start with the work. Let's just go with this. Start with the self, with your dignity, and keeping all positive. And of course, we are not Alice Wonderland, La La Land kind of thing. You know, we recognize there is suffering that everyone is getting through, enduring. But it's to really give a sense of strength, I think meaning and stuff like that, you know. So it's a purpose. So that's why Bernie brought us back to live for others, right? As kind of our turning point or anchor, you know. So it's like your perspective that you have to, nobody can tell you, right? It's like this, because then it will be a script. You can't script another person's life, you know.
You know, when it's someone else's script, you're less likely to follow it.
Yeah, and it becomes, life becomes you have an alienated life, right? You become very detached from it because you also feel that you need to live up to somebody's script, right? Which may not be livable, which isn't you. So at some stage at the youth level, we will find they're going to reject that, whatever script that they have been living. I mean, we'll all go through that, so we know that, right? But instead of coming in as from a place of rebellion, maybe the energy is kind of better spent in understanding why it has come about like this. Why has human civilization evolved to this point, you know? Instead of just being angry, then what we're going to do about it, right? How do we channel that the energy, right? So, and we can't direct anybody about where to channel energy, you know. It will be terrible. It will be a terrible violation of the best of somebody's mind and all that. So what we can only do is provide this ground and then maybe we get destabilized, and like Bernie said, what we've seen though is the youth themselves are so positive and youthful and hopeful and bright. They are the ones that are providing the context for us, you know. Okay, now you asked the other question about,
it's the sustainable enterprises based on 12 archetypes. I can see that I can see it on the website that each one has an incubation page, which is pretty cool. Can I find out more about that?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll take you here. So once the personal stewardship piece is, we feel the person has some place of groundedness, right? Then we go on to the economic empowerment piece. The last thing we want is to put something in somebody's hands and they are not ready for it, right? It's okay. So this is the 12 archetypes. I think I'll try and zoom in. So it evolved over 20 years, I would say, from Bilberries Blues journey, as a sustainable enterprise. Of course, in the early years, we don't even have this kind of language to help us navigate this. But from now, looking back, this was our understanding of what evolved. So we asked our question essentially, what does a community, which then extends to a nation and which extends to a global society, need? Okay, for it to be truly sustainable. So at any point in time, some legacy communities or societies would have some parts stronger and some parts not so strong. So then there is that dynamic. Some may be very balanced. So then maybe that society feels in a good place of health, well-being, and flourishing economically, the intra-society, that kind of thing. So it looks like an economic development model, but it's actually, I think, as it went on, became a development of nations kind of model. But we are not theorists. It's very hard to be a theorist for this, because it's too big. Development economics is too big. So what we are is pragmatists. We want to figure out how do we take all this thinking from economic theory, social political science, from science, from everything, and instead of staying in theory, how do we apply it? So maybe it's applied thinking. So in our work, there's one part that is very strong in multidisciplinary and meta thinking, thinking about thinking. So this is the ESG, economy development piece. That's how it was formulated. So we constantly formulate, and there are we have brought it to, okay, so then we have all these health and well-being, farming, energy, the forest, ecosystem, money, hospitality is like everything about living, right? Yeah. And hosting people. Then the art, so it questions all these things. What is the function of all these areas to society? So it's a grand question, and we reference Small is Beautiful by E.F. Schumacher, because he's spoken quite a lot about this topic. We reference Amartya Sen, as a development as freedom. So it is about the development of nations, and of course, the Age of Sustainable Development by Jeffrey Sachs. So that's very, very relevant to the sustainability emergence that we are seeing now. So now these got formulated a little while back, maybe in 2018, 2019. Now, of course, there are many, many formulations of sustainability, sustainable development goals, etc. So we formulated this as all these things were emerging, and I think there's some kind of stability, and we also incorporate what's coming up and now UNDP has a beautiful UNDP SDG impact standards for enterprises. So we're incorporating that in, right? So you can see that the learning is very dynamic. Maybe Washima is trying to come in. Wait, Ellen, I'm going to make you a co-host, and can you help me make sure everybody is in as they're coming in? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ellen. Yeah. So you can see that. And then when we say, okay, now we've got all this thinking, we are not a government, right? We are not a university. We're not a research center either. We love activating, and all of us came from essentially primarily private sector. In kind of the various roles, either as finance or Bernie is an ex-banker, you know, different, and this was our observation, and regarding the state of society, the state of global society in the Anthropocene. So then we say that our impact is through enterprises. So then we created archetypal enterprises, and in any case, the enterprises had emerged on their own as a response to society and global society in the last 20 years. So in each of these enterprise, like charcoal, then we have all our prototypes, you know, as people would call it, because we were investigating, how come this is working, how come this is not working, this is working, and we go on with different projects and themes. Some were paid, some were not paid. You know, much of this was, I suppose, is volunteerism, but we were doing it in enterprises. So we're like, what are we? So maybe we are entrepreneurs, and then entrepreneurs, we need to make income. How do we share this? You know, so all these conversations become living conversation, because we have all these enterprises, right? And we maintain the corporate compliance and everything. So there is a huge corporate governance around this and the learning for that. So this then becomes the opportunity for the youth stewards, so that all the talk, it's not staying at talk. So if subsequent to after they settle into the seven, and then they say, Pengen, I think I'm really drawn to being a farmer. Do you have opportunities here? And it's subject to where the youth stewards are. If they are in school, of course, we say, focus your energy on finishing school, you know, sit through all our different discussions. But the second they finish school, or they have a job, but they want to volunteer some more, or they want to explore an entrepreneurism kind of journey, which means you turn up, maybe we give you a meal kind of thing, right? Rather than a salary-based structure, because our whole thing is the dynamism of making a living and adapting to the marketplace. And the marketplace, of course, have politics and taking care of others, right? So we also have a not-for-profit here, One Love Limited. And recently because of we had a studio before, and we have to relocate. We created now a new project, or a new place of where people can, Bilberries Blue can have a physical, tangible place, because we realize you when you do your work, you have to address about human society in the context of returning our world back into a healthy state of world, you know, the earth. So we all our work has to really connect with space, right? So we created something called or emerged something called Bilberries Blue lighthouses. So that's what we are kind of working at. And the youth stewards, and we all decided that the youth stewards are to lead this emergence of these BB lighthouses, so that the work has your own personal formation, your own personal stewardship, your stewardship with others, your peers, intergenerationally, and then you also have each of these to think about. And they're organized in the same way, but the content is different and how it's applied. You've got the marketplace to think about. So you're thinking, and then you're working, you have a context. And then now you also have an opportunity to build it. And you can build it small, you should start small. Don't try to be too big, you know, and we always pull ourselves back. We were in the process of submitting for a grant, and then it required 1,000 people, and then I couldn't submit the grant, and we said to the team, and then the team members all said, no, it's too big, agree. Our program needs to go back to being small is beautiful, you know. So, but the next chapter from all the good thinking and all the discussions and clarity is you can't learn something until you build it, and you can't really we discovered also recreate until you make a mistake. So this is really the courage that we're living, that we have to make a mistake to learn, you know. Or maybe don't call it a mistake, just that's why they come up with rapid cycle prototyping, right? So call it prototyping. So we've put all this on the there's another series of playlists called learning series here. So you can see it's all, it would take anybody basically to the marketplace, including transactions and all that. Because I'm a chartered accountant by training, so I wrote everything down like a management consultant. Everyone says it doesn't look like a theory. I say no, but it's practicable. Okay, so there is a lot of learning if people want to learn, and that's the opportunity that we hope we can create, and then we hope to create it such that it's driven very authentically by the person himself or herself, or with the small teams or with bigger teams. But after a while, everybody will be synchronized in the approach, right? So it's not so much the content, because the content is everywhere in the world already, everywhere. But it's kind of like an approach and the core of how we relate to each other. So the context of this is how do you have a global local, so global coordination between the economies, and also what we are starting to create to prototype under Bilberries Blue Lighthouses as global habitats of dignity. Because at the end of the day, it's not even about a home for humans anymore. It's a habitat. It's a universal habitat that we have to live with wildlife as well as nature. You know, wild nature, and so and probably maybe AI might have started consciousness. I don't know, but it's got to have that kind of openness, right? And wonder and awe about life, and how what's your agency in it. And so our governance is written by Saif, and after he's examined all this, he said, let's have a simple governance principle, and that is of the dignity. So we settled on that last year. Then we launched the program. So the goal is global sustainability and flourishing. Our eye is on 2030. I think if our eye is on 2050, we might be a bit too late, you know. There's some movements that they go with 2050. I think we need to accelerate this to get to 2030, the 17 goals. UNDP has really distilled it to no one left behind. So we have committed for ourselves a fully inclusive, sustainable entrepreneurism. That's Bilberries Blue's commitment, for no one left behind. So it's not about the size and the scale, it's about the deep commitment. So anybody who comes to work together or share lives together, you're a friend. I know your name. You're not a number. You're not so it's not really a program. So it's very funny. After a while, that's how most of us have said, Ellen, what have you chosen for BB Lighthouse, Ellen? You're mute. Ellen, you're on mute. You gotta unmute, Ellen. Yeah. Can you share with Mel what we have chosen for BB Lighthouse as our core?
Well, actually, for BB Lighthouse, I want to respect others. I also have love is also remember.
What is that? Respect others and?
Yeah. We need to respect each other. We need to love each other.
There you go, Mel. As simple as that, and as difficult as that. So we're going to emerge a space where we respect each other by loving each other.
Yeah.
Very tall order. And amidst it all, we have all these guidelines and guideposts so that no one feels it's so daunting, nor is it so abstract. And and we are serious about the empowerment such that you have to engage society and community. And I think like, for me personally, I'm seeing more and more the economic empowerment for youth. It's very critical for the dignity. And if we fall, you know, so no matter what it is, we can't run away from money management, etc., etc. But find a way to articulate it, you know, in a way that is kind of that contributes to this kind of grand plan, I suppose. So the whole Bilberries Blue pedagogical provocation library and content and references, including the videos that we're recording now, is to provide that space where you can accelerate yourself very, very fast. And we are here. We are here. We have the enterprises as the opportunity place. We have the people and the guideposts. So, but the rest of it is up to that youth already, or that person, or the family that's supporting the child, you know. So I am going to have to stop here so that I can include everybody in. Oh, is everybody in already? Oh dear. Ellen, you've let everyone in. All right. Sorry. Everybody, hello. Oh, Washima's in too. We were kind of finishing up kind of our first half an hour with our program partner, Mel from Beautiful People. So she was asking about the formation milestones, as well as what are the 12 enterprises. So we have already started recording. I'm going to stop it because so that I can pause it I can keep that for the